It's all about these two women. What was the casting idea behind it? Now that I've watched it, I can't think of anyone better than them. But what were your initial thoughts?
When we started to cast, we thought we really need a solid performer to back this, and Cocos was the first name that came up, and we immediately, in fact, we just decided we won't go to anybody else till she says no. Right. We pitched the film to her. We narrated it to her. She loved it too, and she said she'll come on board. So it was very simple casting. Right. And then after that, Pratibha.
Right. You tell me, when you heard, Konkona continues to be our favorite. What were yours also? What were your thoughts?
Actually, I remember meeting Coco during Lapata Ladies promotion, and I just went up to her and I said, I want a photo with you, and she's like, of course, because I remember when she came out, she was crying, and it just stayed with me. Right. And then when I got to know that Coco is in the film, I was like, oh my god, I need to revisit to that picture. Right. And then I shared it with you, I guess. Yeah.
Because everybody was so affected by Lapata Ladies, all of us, the entire nation and all over the world.
As actors, you all are all, because you all are in the public eye, you all have a public image. Is that always anyone can write anything on Twitter, anyone can write anything on Reddit? You can just have one argument inside a room with someone and say, oh, she's arrogant and she's this. Is that at the back of your mind?
Yeah, without knowing context.
That's the thing.
People are so quick to judge without knowing the context of what happened. Sometimes the information is via, something you've heard of. You don't know what actually transpired. You don't know both sides of the story. Correct. And then there's this kind of a social media trial which happens. And then people form an opinion about the person depending on whether they like that person or not. Right. That's a very important thing to keep in mind. And I try not to kind of be one. I think one has to develop a bit of a thick skin.
Thick skin, 100%. Yeah.
Written about you can't take it so seriously.
Yeah. When we were doing one round table where there was Manisha Koirala sitting and telling a younger actor, I don't know who, that करने दो ना troll. 2 दिन में सब भूल जाएंगे.
Of course, I feel that you have to create a thick skin. Otherwise, I don't know how you survive. So you have to cut the noise, you have to cut the chatter. People will say whatever they want to say. You need to believe in your craft. You need to believe who you are. And that's about it, I think.
Sometimes the person investigating the case could not be the correct person doing it. Right. Sometimes there could be some other problems in the system. What would be your biggest advice after making this film to the people?
It's a very interesting question. Of course, it's very tricky to have complete faith in the system, but you have to start from there, I feel. But ultimately, it's your life, and you have to take charge of things if things are not going the correct way according to you.
And there are no easy answers.
There are no easy answers.
That's what you can't. You need to hold that discomfort, to sit with a certain uncertainty. At least till things reveal themselves.
Yeah, that's what the real world is. What do you want people to take away?
Of course, I want people to take away the fact that, just don't jump to a conclusion. Wait for the facts to come.
Welcome to Bollywood Hungama. I watched the film and thoroughly enjoyed it. So big congratulations to all of you. It entertained me through and through.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To you, firstly, what drew you to make this? And especially, I had read about this long back. What attracted you to make this?
I think just a fantastic core idea, and it was not originally mine. It came from Netflix. Yes. It was given to me like, would you like to make something like this, which is centered on a woman accused of sexual misconduct? Right. And I just love the idea. So it all started from there, and that's where just the core idea was so interesting and so strong that I couldn't have said no.
To both of you now, Konkona, you can start. What was the first, when something like this is offered, which is in today's times, it is different. Even like today, when we say, everybody says, ki hamari film alag hai, but this is genuinely different. What were your thoughts that, because this is such an unusual story of two girls?
That's what I was so thrilled and grateful that such a part has been offered to me at all. Because it's a very unusual kind of a premise. The narrative is that, these stories of, from Me Too or any kind of sexual predatorship and sexual harassment, usually the accused are always men.
Right.
Even and statistically, they might be the majority. But there are cases, and I think that when you guys did your research, you came across even more of such cases, especially I think abroad.
Yeah.
It's something that really leapt out to me because I found it a very unusual premise that a woman is being accused of sexual misconduct. And what more than, it's not really in that sense a procedural or a courtroom drama. So more than, rushing to the conclusion of of innocence or guilt, it's rather an exploration of what happens to the families, to the workplace when something like this happens and how it slowly begins to unravel.
Right, right. Pratibha, to you also same question. Too heavy duty early in your career or?
I mean, this is my second after Lapata, and I was reading a lot of things. And when I auditioned for this, I had 2 scenes, and both the scenes, they in a way stayed with me. And then I was more intrigued about it, that I want to know more. And of course, then Anubhuti ma'am came back to me and said that we want you. And when I read the script, and then I realized that at the center of the script, of course, we have Gitika, who's accused with sexual harassment. But how her relationships are getting affected, her relationship with Meera, I think that was really very interesting for me to know. Because at the end of the day, they both are like living together. Meera has build her life around her. She's ready to relocate. She's ready to do everything until she realizes that, is it enough? Or is there more to it? So, gradually we move forward, how the story unfolds. I think for me, that was the most interesting space to be in.
It's all about these 2 women. What was the casting idea behind it? Now that I've watched it, I can't think of anyone better than them. But what were your initial thoughts?
Exactly, this was the thought. I mean, when we started to cast, we thought we really need a solid performer to back this. And Cocos was the first name that came up. And we immediately, in fact, we just decided we won't go to anybody else. Till she says no. We pitched the film to her. We narrated it to her. She loved it too, and she said she'll come on board. So it's very simple casting.
Right.
And then after that, Pratibha.
Right. This is not about physical abuse. Usually so many years we watch films where physical abuse is the most, biggest crime one can commit. But, something like this, mental trauma, accusation, accusing someone of this reputation damage, basically. What were your thoughts of, when you do something like this? Obviously, I've just watched it and I'm still thinking about it. What did you go through when you read it? What were your thoughts?
I guess the lines are quite blurred about physical abuse or mental abuse. I mean, whose abuse are you talking about for the victims or the survivors?
Right.
I mean, in all of those cases, we have seen that in this film at least, that it's that really fine line of what is actually, because as you see, Dr. Geetika's profession is, she is a gynecologist. So it's very easy to abuse that position of power and even get away with it. And what we see is that there's some kind of a pattern. And what doesn't help is that Dr. Geetika herself, her nature is such that, she has quite an abrasive personality. It doesn't help that she is not somebody who has a great bedside manner or who is, overly empathetic about this kind of a thing. She has a little, she doesn't really care what people think about her. There have been complaints about her in the past, not about sexual misconduct, but, about, I think, being
very a disciplinarian, quite rude
and quite
to
strict
people.
and rude about her manner overall. So there is that aspect of it, and then there is the other aspect of it, which is the kind of in a sense, the suffering or the trauma that the family goes through, and the relationship goes through. So both sides are really suffering. I mean, because we haven't really established until a formal inquiry is conducted and it's established the the innocence or the guilt, that both parties are really suffering. And especially, I think, for Dr. Meera, Pratibha's character that she played so beautifully, of wanting to support, as well as, being under public scrutiny.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. I asked her about the casting. You tell me, when you heard, Konkona continues to be our favorite. What were yours also? What were your thoughts? Because this kind of rapport is very important. Where did you all meet? Did you all know each other from before?
Actually, I remember meeting Coco during Lapata Ladies promotion, and I just went up to her and I said, I want a photo with you. And she's like, of course, because I remember when she came out, she was crying, and that it just stayed with me.
Right.
And then when I got to know that Coco is in the film, I was like, oh my God, I need to revisit to that picture.
Right.
And then I shared it with you, I guess. Yeah.
Because everybody was so affected by Lapata Ladies, all of us, the entire nation and all over the world. I love Kiran, I loved the film, I loved Pratibha and Nitanshi. So, we were thrilled. I was thrilled to find out that Pratibha is going to play Dr. Meera.
Right.
Because I remember being absolutely mesmerized by her face. She's so expressive. She emotes so well. Even in Lapata, where you're not always talking, where a lot of it actually the character has to kind of, it's through your eyes, and you can't always convey what you're feeling to the family that you're with, but it's so effective.
And it's a diametrically opposite
right,
completely different part from
Right.
Lapata, and she does so well in our film.
That's true. Yeah, she totally
Thank
does.
you, guys.
In fact, you tell me, you're a filmmaker also. You're her co-actor also. What is it that you see people who in their first, second film, they have such strengths of this rawness?
This is something which I think sometimes people have or they don't.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
that's true.
know how much it can be taught or developed. I don't know. Maybe it can. But some people have a certain screen presence.
Yeah.
And I think that's just something.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you teach that.
Yeah, that's true.
Some people's faces actually do express what they wanted to express. Because, you might think that, I'm feeling sad, I'm wanting to look sad, but if it's not coming across in the
Right.
face, you're thinking it, but if it's not coming through, often it does. When you think something, I feel it does come through, but with some people, it's just more expressive than others. And of course, the eyes.
Yeah, right.
Very expressive eyes.
Right. Do you guys think we have reached a point where public opinion has become the courtroom? It has it. Firstly, yeah.
So
How dangerous is that?
it's very dangerous. In fact, that's what is there in the film. I mean, the key takeaway we would like people to go with is please do not jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
Whatever's
true.
happening, we are just so quick to cancel anyone the moment we hear, something could have gone wrong with that person. Possibly it did go wrong or will go wrong, but just wait for the facts to emerge and don't.
100%.
So I think the film is essentially about that. Just self-reflect a little bit more, examine your biases, examine your perceptions. Don't just instantly judge or cancel a person, at the first.
As actors, y'all are all, because y'all are in the public eye, y'all have a public image. Is that always now, because so much of it happens, is that all somewhere at the back of your mind? That, anyone can write anything on Twitter, anyone can write anything on Reddit. You can just have one argument inside a room with someone and say, oh, she's arrogant and she's this. Is that at the back of your mind?
Yeah, without knowing context, you know.
That's the thing.
People are so quick to judge without knowing the context of what happened. Sometimes the information is via, something you've heard of. You don't know what actually transpired. You don't know both sides of the story. And then there's this kind of a social media trial which happens. And then people form an opinion about the person depending on whether they like that person or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So here also we were saying earlier that, that because Dr. Geetika is not always so likable, you can't, just because she's not likable doesn't mean that she's guilty.
Correct.
She may have other flaws because anyway, nobody's perfect and, these are very well fleshed out, well etched out characters. So they do have their strengths and flaws and they're real and they're human. So even if you don't like the way she's behaved, it doesn't mean she's guilty.
Absolutely.
So that's a very important thing to keep in mind. And I try not to kind of I think one has to develop a bit of a thick skin.
Thick skin. 100%. Yeah.
Reason about you can't take it so seriously.
Yeah, I do see that the previous generation of actors had that a lot. Like, actors from the 90s, like, when we were doing one roundtable where there was Manisha Koirala sitting and telling a younger actor, I don't know who that, करने दो ना troll. 2 दिन में सब भूल जाएंगे. What are your learnings from social media and all this?
I really feel that because we all, especially my generation, we are exposed to so much of social media around us, so much of information. it can take a toll on you.
Right.
Because you're constantly on your phone, you're checking what's happening, and it can bother you. But of course, I feel that you have to create a thick skin. Otherwise, I don't know how you survive. So you have to cut the noise, you have to cut the chatter. People will say whatever they want to say. You need to believe in your craft. You need to believe who you are. And that's about it. I think that's the easiest way you can
Yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
social media is life for everyone today. So it's very hard to do. But yeah, yes, these guys are in a very tough position.
Yeah. So, how do you not make a film like this? You didn't, but how do you not make a film like this melodramatic and graphic? Like, how do you stay away from those things which can be so attractive in a scene and headlines?
One, because I felt the subject needed a certain kind of weight and depth with which it can be told. And that can come purely if you keep it far more closer to reality than, resorting to sensationalism or, just making a very big broad statement.
Correct.
High on melodrama. Also, because we were basing the film in the UK.
Yeah.
And we're hoping it gets a little bit of international audience as well. It's going to be released globally on Netflix.
Right.
You have to cater to some sensibilities all across. Which,
correct.
So that's also there. And then thirdly, I like personally those films, and it's my style.
Right.
A little bit of restraint and subtly told.
Right. What is the hardest part of playing an accused? What all is on your mind that you can't show, you can show, if you are, when you're in that spot?
I think I was looking at it really from my character's point of view, from Dr. Geetika's point of view. So now her point of view is that she's innocent. Now what the film establishes or doesn't down the line, that remains to be seen. But for me, I have to, if I'm not rooting for my character, then, nobody else will.
Yeah,
so I have to. So I can only look at it from that lens.
Yeah, true.
That, why should I have to explain myself? Why should I have to change? I'm a successful career woman. I have, a good position of authority. She's very good at her job.
Yeah.
She's got promotions. Of course, at the end of the film, what happens is, because of these circumstances, both Meera and Geetika are forced to reflect.
Right.
So what happens is, there were certain patterns, for example, even in their own relationship, which they were forced to kind of reckon with and reflect upon. What were the shifting power dynamics between the two of them? And how did that change? Maybe there were some things which were not all completely healthy or all green flags, and things that were just swept under the carpet, which were then forced to come out, and they were forced to confront it, which is actually ideally for the best. So I think that ultimately that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Your character is stuck between love, doubt, career, so many things. What all crosses your mind, and how I don't know how to ask it, but how similar is this girl from you also in real life? Because these are also ordinary people living in the world.
I don't see any similarity between me and Meera.
Okay.
But of course, when I was playing Meera, there was certain emotions that I was experiencing for the first time.
Right.
I had to, because she's put in this situation where she loves somebody and her partner is accused of sexual harassment.
Right.
How do you process that information? It's so hard. Even in real life, if that happens to your partner, like, what do you do?
What do you do? Yeah.
You're almost at the edge. But, I feel that that's the beauty of love, that she's not giving up. She's trying her best to be there, trying her best to find what could have gone wrong. How can I be there? And she's also dealing with a lot of things with her own personal life. She's not, she's in a closet right now. She's not openly come out of her sexuality. She's also dealing with that. And when Geetika points that, it also breaks so many things in her, because, Geetika is only a person she trusts the most.
Yeah.
So I think she was going through a lot.
Right.
I feel that one.
Yeah.
Right. When dealing with stories which have happened in the real world, what is the one thing that you always keep in mind?
Any story like this, I completely would base it on research, and we had done enough for this film, and there's so many such cases, and there were little parts, and that we borrowed from different events that have happened across the world. So I think the intention always is to make sure we're not just creating something out of our hats. We're making sure that real stories
Right.
are being told, and even if they're put together in a fictional manner.
Right.
So that is important to me.
Right. Lastly, to both of you, what do you want people to take away from this when they watch it? What is it that you'd like?
It would be, I think that the film is very engaging.
It is, yeah.
And it will be good. I think it's in a way to even examine your own biases, because we kind of jump to conclusions, or we have some certain preconceived notions about how we view certain kinds of behavior, certain kinds of relationships, and they affect our judgment.
Right.
And should it really affect our judgment when we don't know all the facts? To separate fact from opinion, and to keep emotions in that sense out of the verdict of guilt or innocence, and let like the formal authorities decide that, because there is a formal investigation.
Everywhere.
And so this is really an examination and an exploration. It's like a psychological drama in many ways, in the way that it unfolds, in the way that it unravels. And I think the audience reaction also is going to be like that, because there are times when you think, oh no, Gitika must have, and then there are times you're like, no, she, we can understand her point of view, or shifting alliances between Meera and Gitika. Sometimes you can understand what Meera is going through. Sometimes you can understand what Gitika is going through. To have an open mind, to sit and absorb the facts.
Right. Just one more question, because you said that, again, we may have full faith in the system, that there should be justice. Sometimes the person investigating the case could not be the correct person doing it.
Right.
Sometimes there could be some other problems in the system. What would be your biggest advice after making this film to the people?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. Of course, it's very tricky to have complete faith in the system, but you have to start from there, I feel. But ultimately, it's your life, and you have to take charge of things if things are not going the correct way according to you.
And there are no easy answers.
There are no easy answers.
That's what you
100%.
can't. You need to hold that discomfort, to sit with a certain uncertainty, at least till things reveal themselves.
Yeah, that's what the real world is. Not what do you want people to take away?
Of course, I want people to take away the fact that, just don't jump to a conclusion.
Yes.
Wait for the facts to come. And if you are in this situation, you have a family behind. Look after them, because even they are at the same spot.
Right.
They're also going through the same thing as you are.
Yeah. So, true. Great. Well made film. Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. You all continue to entertain us.
Thank
you so much,
Thank
Rohit.
you.